Hi, my name's Dee and welcome to Untitled Tarot. Now, this is going to be your full moon gods at play reading for the sign that is down in the title. It's a bulk introduction as ever. There will be a timestamp down below, but stick with it this time, at least the first time, because there's some good information I've pulled together, I believe. I've had some real fun researching this and working everything out. So, timestamp because, or first time because, it's a good idea to watch at least 3 of these. So your sun sign, your moon sign and your rising sign. My personal favourite would be your rising sign. You know, if you don't get to watch any of the others, watch your rising sign. There's a link down below for a birth chart if you don't know what that is. It takes you to AstroSeek. If you do know a little bit about astrology, you can choose what house system you want and all that sort of thing. So, being a general reading, of course, it's not aimed at any one person specifically. So it's a sort of, it either is for you or it isn't. It's not really a reading where you can ask a question beforehand, although you could if you want to. I don't know how effective that would be. It's a look at the energies that are interplaying. It's the gods at play readings, by their very nature, are dramatic, wonderfully dramatic. So take it all with a pinch of salt. Remember, it's the shape of the images rather than the literal words that are important here. So let's get on to this new moon. So 9 degrees Aries. This is the harvest moon, which is the first full moon after fall equinox. Now, the astrologer Kelly Rosano is saying it's a great reset. It's a great time to make a fresh start, to reinvent yourself, to keep moving if you have a strategy. And if you don't have the strategy, work on the strategy. You know, don't just move without a strategy. But if you can keep moving, do keep moving. Now, with it being 9 degrees Aries, I'm going to be referring to all my written notes and some notes on the computer here. This point has a history this year. So, back on the 11th of July this year, Chiron stationed retrograde at this point to conjunct 3 days later on the 14th with Mars. So this point has been activated already with that warrior fire energy of Mars, but tamed a little. Tamed is probably the wrong word, but in the act of receiving instruction. Now, Chiron, a lot of people remember that he's the wounded healer, that he has the wound that will not heal. But I'm not being led to that woundedness with this point. What I'm being led to is the fact that Chiron was a teacher of heroes. Chiron trained Hercules, among other characters, and I've suddenly forgot all of the other characters. It's just fallen out the back of my brain. But Chiron was a teacher. And going back to the astrology, because I'll get back to the symbolism of Chiron in a moment. So Mars conjuncted with Chiron on the 14th. Now, Mars had just conjuncted 3 days before? No, as Chiron stationed retrograde on the 11th here at 9 degrees, the moon conjuncted Mars. Now, the moon had been a busy boy. From the 5th of July, he had been conjuncting with Jupiter and Pluto, then on the 6th, Saturn, and he delivered all of that information to Mars on the 6th via the means of a sextile, you know, which is it's a modern aspect. It's like a little vaguely positive download, I would suppose. Then the moon conjuncted with Neptune on the 10th and took all that ocean energy straight to Mars on the 11th, which Mars then took, you know, obviously quite possibly reeling and, you know, having that comic moment of and then it conjuncted with Chiron. So Chiron was there to help Mars make sense of everything that the moon had just gone at him. And now the moon has returned. I mean, obviously it returns every month, but now the moon has really returned in the terms of this harvest moon, full moon. So I'm really seeing that there has been a period where we have been able to make sense maybe of wounds, or make sense of our path forward, and things that you started around the middle of July, so 11th, 14th, all that sort of area onwards, can be coming to a culmination of sorts with this full moon. Now, that's just a culmination, not the culmination. So it's not like a final conclusion. It's you're going to be reaching towards a high point, a potentially healing high point, but as a result of everything that you have learned and things that you set into motion back in July. Now, the symbols back this up somewhat. Let me get through to this. Here we go. Now, the Chandra symbol is the roots of a tree entwined around the statue of a nude woman. So the explanation of this sounds a bit weird, but just think about the weird time we have gone through with 2020, with all the lockdown restrictions, with the new restrictions that we've had to introduce for ourselves to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe, the financial restrictions that have no doubt come in at the same time. And these restrictions are definitely being highlighted now by the current Mars square Saturn, or Mars Saturn square is what I was going to say, which goes to show again that Mars trying to demonstrate everything he'd learned under the tutelage of Chiron. It's we have got to find a way forward, and Saturn's going, if you find a way forward, you do it sensibly, within the limits. You do it within a defined pathway. You do it with strategy. Another thing Kelly Rosano said in her video was that squares are like a step up. You can use them, and I think Rick Levine has talked about how you can resolve issues in a square creatively, using creativity, but that square creates tension in the first place, so it's highlighting issues that are already there. So going back to this roots of a tree entwined around the statue, so it says bondage and freedom sometimes go hand in hand. The bondage is being true to pattern, predictable, here's Saturn, caught in habits and tendencies perpetually left to grow like weeds. The freedom is that as you meet yourself starkly in the midst of these old, tired patterns of behaviour, you come into touch with a quickening flame of self-recreation, stimulated and forced by being at the mercy of the relentless powers. Now, if that doesn't sum up what is also going on in the astrology around this full moon with that Mars-Saturn square, I don't know what does. You cannot... the heavens are most definitely giving us a huge message here. Anyway, I'll continue with this. The impulse to make yourself over is fervently strong, courageous, ready and willing. The old stuff dies hard. You are therefore engaged in a pitched battle of a protracted kind between retrogressive and progressive ideals, impulses and desires. Both sides are so impassioned and sharply intent that this could become a knockdown, drag-out battle of wills. Now, if that doesn't reflect the politics as well as our own internal struggle at the moment, I don't know what does. Where was I? The atavistic backward-leaning will feel immune to change. The visionary forward-thrusting will feel moved by evolutionary forces to never give up. Eventually, the future prevails over the past, but not before scars and multiple traumas mark the spot of fighting for your life against an implacable inward enemy who knows it will lose and fights all the harder accordingly. I hadn't read that right through to the end. That doesn't bode well for the election, does it? So, moving on. Another thing is the Omega symbol. Again, I'm reading Aries 10 because this full moon is at 9 degrees and 8 minutes of Aries, therefore it's in the 10th degree. So in many different places, a man keeps seeing the same number. It's talking about interacting and being inspired. Now there will have been over this period, I mean, there is over any period, but over this period especially, certainly under the tutelage of Chiron, there will have been certain things which will have appeared again and again and again. And with all the circumstances that we've had recently, we're pretty much forced to look at it. Just as Saturn is now stationing direct, turning to face Mars as it goes in that square to it, and Saturn is like this, look here, this, those things that you cannot resist, those things that you cannot ignore. And when I say you can't resist, I don't mean like chocolates, I mean like a wall. You cannot resist a wall if you run into it, you know. This so it's definitely highlighting those limitations that we're going to face, and how we are going to be able to change ourselves to overcome those limitations. Now, presiding over this degree is the angel Eladia, who the phrase I have here is looks can kill, protection from the evil eye and divine grace. But so I investigated Eladia a little further, and as a guardian angel, where she is, I think, is it the first half of the second decan of second half of the second decan of Taurus, but she also presides over 9 degrees Aries, 21 degrees Gemini, and my database isn't built up any further than that. There will be another 3 points that she presides over. Now, Eladia symbolises tolerance and clarity of mind, giving you inspiration to succeed in your endeavours, as well as helping in restoring your morale. He also brings you healing and forgiveness for your faults. What is really interesting is that of the charisms he rules over, it's interpretation. It's how to interact and how to perceive the world around you. Now, you can ask Eladia to bring you divine grace so that your faults may be forgiven, but that's also a process of, to do that, you need to have recognised your faults in the first place, and then to have them forgiven, you also have to make sure that you are not making the same faults again and again and again and again. So there's that whole rebirth element going on once more. So here I've got Guardian Angel Eladia provides tolerance, mental clarity, forgiveness, healing of illnesses, recognition of your mistakes. So Eladia will help you recognize where the mistakes, and that's a good thing, because if you think this Mars square Saturn, it's Mars retrograde, we are reviewing what we have already set into motion, and then as Mars goes direct again, we get to do it again, but properly. Eladia offers a sense of freedom from your past and helps instill a sense of morality. I'll just leave that one there because that's too much of a hot topic there. But within the Goetia, the by day, let me see. This degree is ruled by Baal by day and Phoenix by night. Now, Phoenix is depicted as a phoenix. So again, we've got that symbol of rebirth, and he's a great Marquis of Hell, has 20 legions of demons under his command, but he teaches all wonderful sciences and is an excellent poet and tends to be very obedient to those who summon him. Now, he does hope to return to heaven after 1200 years, but it is noted that he is deceived in this hope, and it's definitely been 1200 years since Solomon helped conjure him to help build his temple. So if the full moon is happening in the night where you are, there is that added oomph of rebirth from that phoenix energy. Now, Baal or Baal is more of a shapeshifter and warrior god. He's also incredibly, well, kingly. Basically, he's one of the 9 kings of Goetia, and he presides over solstices, fire festivals, gives aid in astral projection, shapeshifting within dreams, and is also helps with the reconciliation of friends, which might be a really useful tool. And that could be a step on your using that square to climb up, because Temper's afraid this year, understandably. If there's anyone that you need to make up with, and the full moon is in the day where you are. I mean, I remember last week there was some astrological conjunction or other, well, aspect or other, that was also helping with this whole reconciliation idea. So that energy is obviously still with us by Baal being empowered by the full moon. Now, that's probably technically not the right way to say it, but you know, Baal's mastery of this degree empowering the full moon, put it that way. You know, so all in all, this promises to be a really good full moon if you take advantage of it. So yeah, do your full moon ceremony, but also be in touch with people. Be in touch with all the voices inside your head, and be in touch with some of the voices outside of your head, like your friends, your family, anybody that you maybe need to smooth things over with, and anybody that will help you move forward in things that you have already set into motion, and hopefully set them into motion using your strategy that is so heavily advised by Saturn. And you set it into motion before Mars turned retrograde. Now's not a good time to start new things. If you haven't got a new thing that you have started, then plan, strategize. You can move forward once you have your plan and your strategy. Now, you're going to hear a lot more of this sort of stuff from me. I want to give a very quick plug to the Astrology Hub and the course that they are running with famed astrologer Rick Levine. That starts next Sunday, 4th of October. I will be doing that course as well. So you know how I keep saying, no, I'm not an astrologer? Well, hopefully by the end of it, I'll be that one step closer to being one. I mean, okay, it's still going to take me a decade to get there, but I get to study under Rick Levine. How cool is that? And so can you. So if you go over to the Astrology Hub website, astrologyhub.org, just Google Astrology Hub, and then whatever that web address is /foundation, and you will find that course. It works out $200 and odd with tax, really odd, like $4.50 or something, $4.88 I think I paid. So yeah, if you're into all this stuff, and hey, you've listened to me drone on for what, 17 minutes now, I better get on with the reading in a moment. But you've listened to me waffle on for all of that. So come and join. It should be fun. Now, there's also a link down below for my Facebook page for this channel. I'd be remiss if I didn't give that a plug. There is an inbox on that Facebook page. So if you want to contact me for a personal reading, feel free. That's one of the ways to do it. You can DM me on Twitter as well. I have a Linktree link down there for all the different social media bits and bats. And I have the time now October is, yes, I've no idea what month it is. I mean, as Rick Levine said, we are on the 175th of March. But October, I have a lot more free time. I hope to be generating a lot more videos for you. And I've just seen my video go really weird there. So I think I will stop talking now and bring up the cards. Cheers. And well done, Pisces Sun, if you've managed to go all the way through the introduction, and welcome to Pisces Rising and Pisces Moon if you've just joined us after the timestamp. So, if you are indeed Pisces Rising, then this full moon is in your second house. Now, this is highlighting issues of power and control or joint finances. It may well be that you're trying to find some balance within your life, within your domestic life. Sharing issues can come into focus, you know, so it's time to take care of your own needs without eclipsing the needs of others, and to ensure that you are taking care, as far as you can, of the needs of others without neglecting your own, you know, bringing that bit of balance. I suppose it's if you do it right, this is a wonderful moon for your relationships. Now, it can also affect your finances. You can have a change in earnings. You could end up splurging out or finish paying something off. Hopefully, you'll be using the full moon to finish something rather than start it. Beware about spending because you can overdo it. It can also look at self-esteem and values, so you're trying to balance things within yourself of where you are feeling good and where you aren't. Now, that's the point where I'm going to pick up with this reading, because we start on this bottom row are the gods that are trying to lift you up. So we're talking about balancing feelings here, and we have Typhon, who was anger and rage incarnate. So the interpretation of this card in the Mythic Oracle is to be aware about how you express anger and maybe find a better way to do it. Maybe find a healthier way to do it. We have Hygeia here with good health later on. But the first thing that struck me was that Typhon was born for a purpose. Gaia gave birth to him purely to gain revenge upon the Olympians for their war with the Titans, because she took the Titans' side. And look, his mother's right there. And so there's an element of, in seeking that balance that I was talking about in the interpretation with the second house, having faith that your purpose is being expressed. And if there is any anger issues to deal with, look at them and deal with them, because there is a benefit, there is a promise of growth. I mean, obviously there's a promise of growth, but there really is right now a promise of growth. If you can work out how this is making me angry, why, then that's just like the first domino in a whole trail of dominoes that ends you up here with Oya and deliverance. Oya represents power in one of the other decks. I forget which one. I think it's Goddesses and Tyrants. But you have to be... You're going to have to roll with the punches this full moon. We have Pontus as one of the masks of the Archons pressing down on you. Pontus, the unknown. And he is the definition of Rumsfeld's unknown unknowns. It's almost like that there's something that you don't know about that you are drawn into, and there's a lot of drawing in going on in this top row in all the full moon readings. A lot of signs are getting a call to action. You seem to be getting a call to be fascinated by something, but because you are fascinated by this thing, something unknown is affecting this, and you are immediately drawn to oppose this, believing that you can get victory, believing that you have all the knowledge that you require, and you do not. That's a bit blunt, isn't it? But this is what the Pythia card is telling me, that this victory here, you may even get a victory, but it'll be hollow, because yeah, what this unknown thing, it may make you angry, but that's fine. Without sounding like I'm trying to turn you to the dark side, use that anger, channel that anger, but use it in lines of recognizing where you have a purpose. Now, I've had criticism in the comments of one of my videos when I talk about life purpose. So I want to make it really clear what I'm talking about with purpose. You have life purpose, you have life purposes, you have one this week, you may have the same one next week, you may have a different one next week. You didn't just come here to do one thing. You came here to do multiple things. And there was just after I'd had this, I mean, I tried to express it back in the comments, but just after I'd had this conversation, I saw a meme on Facebook saying someone approaching the pearly gates and saying, well, I don't know what my purpose was. I don't know, have I fulfilled my life purpose? And it's, yes, you see that point there where you helped that old lady across the road. You see that point there where you picked up the crying child. You see that point there where you were standing by somebody when you were there to reach out your hand. That was your life purpose. There's no great work. You know, there's no, I will create helicopters for the world like Leonardo da Vinci designed, you know, or I will bring the next big thing through to the world. It's not there. You may have a purpose like that, but believe me, it will be far from the only one. The other one will be the picking up children and helping old ladies across the road and all the other things. Anyway, you've got a purpose at the minute. I digressed. I'm sorry about that. Because this purpose possibly highlighted by an anger. So if there is an anger that rises in you and you dissect it, pull it apart, find where you can have harmony with that anger. Not all anger is bad. There are things to be angry about in the world. But if you can pull apart that anger and go, there's the energy I want to use, you know, but put that to one side, right? Why is this making me angry? Well, because of this, this, and this. I can change some of those, but don't get drawn into an immediate, I oppose this, because there is a quieter path, a path that's going to involve, with Orpheus here, with faith, so having faith in the process, but also he had to go into the underworld. He had to confront everything that is scary. So when the anger is inspired in you, go inwards with it. Not aim the anger inwards, but go inwards and explore it, and you will find that irrelevant of what's going outside in the mundane world, it opens gateways up for you, because there's we have Typhon and his mother who gave him purpose. So I really want to stress this purpose thing as well, more than the anger thing. And with Gaia came out Iris with harmony, and it's nice to see her on the God side rather than the Archon side this month, and Orpheus with faith, and the idea of him delving into the underworld, which opens up new gateways for you. So this could be an incredibly woo-woo reading for you. It could also be really interesting if it is in terms of your relationship with a lover, a housemate, someone that you share a space and resources with, you know, so friends, workplace colleagues, all that sort of thing. But there is a path to find a healthy way of dealing with the anger that Typhon will bring up, because Typhon does that. But it's that sense of overwhelming, I can feel that I need to do something about this, maybe not initially knowing what to do about it. Let's have a look what we've got here. Yeah, so I will say, wrong way up. That Knight of Swords keeps coming up again and again for this full moon. I think there's going to be quite a lot of interesting revelations. Do not believe everything that you hear, not because it's not worth believing, but because it's not the full story. And it's very easy to believe half a story and react inappropriately. So we've got a lot of swords here. We've got the Knight of Swords. Right, there will be that instinct to whatever this unknown thing is that blindsides you. There will be this instinct to react immediately to it. And you don't need to. Your discernment says that you can win, and you may well be able to win. I would hazard a guess of, should you win? Really? Are you sure you should win? Are you sure there has to be a winner and a loser rather than a win-win compromise? You know, what was the sign of a really good deal is that nobody is happy at the end of it. And I want people to be happy. Oops, what was on the bottom of the deck before I do that? Yeah, there is intellectual conflicts going on here. But what I really feel is that all of this conflict that's going on with the swords, something that initially makes you a bit angry, if you resist the impulse to directly oppose it and be its opposite, that creates a new beginning. That creates a purpose for you where you can be a lot more nurturing and actually create either an offer of love or a whole new dream and idea to take forward into the world, depending on the context. Bear in mind, I might have said this in this video or not, I can't remember. But these gods at play reading, by their very nature, they are dramatic. You know, this is the gods we're talking about. So, you know, thunderbolts, earthquakes, giants fighting, all of that. You know, they're dramatic, which makes them so much fun. But it could be a large scale that you are encountering this on, or it could be like a really small scale. You know, there's, but what I do like is at the end is if you are harnessing that clue for a new beginning and that clue for a purpose, you have deliverance at the end of it. Oya here offering deliverance, offering a pathway. So Sheila Nagig offers a gateway to a new place that is a healthier place for you, where you are getting more insight and intuition and balancing the twin pillars, the black and the white, together. So again, here, there's no win-lose in the High Priestess card. There's not necessarily even a win-win. There's a balance. There's a continuation. And that's what you want, a nice balanced continuation. But I really do still feel that I can still feel the clicking of the dominoes as they are going over. So this is starting something really quite big for you. Let's see if I've got another deck that would give me a flavour of, no, because I've tidied up, haven't I? Let's have a look, because it really feels like this is a leading on to something big, and I might not be even supposed to tell you what the something big is. Hang on a second. But it feels, we've got Oya with deliverance at the end, and from the Oracle of Heaven and Hell, now you're going to have to bear with me for this one, Aihuia, the angel Aihuia, with submission to a higher order, and underneath that we have the Goetic Spirit Garp with rebellion. And there's part of me that feels that, because I feel equally good about both of them, it's as if submission to a higher order and rebellion are exactly the same thing. You know, so it's like doing what feels right within you, between you and your higher self, between you and God, between you and spirit. Okay, so we've got, there's a lot of work. Bringing something to an end, Ten of Swords, bringing an end to some form of torment, which is a lot of work for you, but leads to a state of contentment, Six of Cups. Okay, and then finally we have King of Cups, a sense of resolution. So let me put these actually in the camera so you can see them. Now that's interesting. Underneath these, we have, I don't want to disturb the titles. We have the Magician there as well, which is really, really, really nice. So ending up King of Cups of the Magician, there's a dream that you are bringing into being. Doesn't necessarily mean it's a dream that you're broadcasting to the world, you know, so it could be a personal dream, it could be a big dream. You know, it could be just getting that cupboard cleared out under the stairs. You know, it depends on what level it is. But if you need to clear the cupboard out under the stairs, it's because whoever else is living with you also needs some space in it, and maybe you should move your things over a little. But this full moon shows a lot of promise for you, Pisces. This is really, really, really nice. So, if it means anything to you yet, comment down below, because it's always good to receive the comments. I try and answer as fast as I can, but it's also nice to know that I'm not just waffling at a camera and putting videos up for my own vanity. And your monthlies will be out within the first week of October. I can't precisely say when, because tomorrow is the 1st, and I'm actually taking the full moon day off because it's the full moon and I love full moon days. Although there was one recently that was a bit hard work. But hey, yeah, I've got to be busy getting angry and finding my purpose. But yeah, the first few days of October, the monthlies will be up. In the meantime, maybe click the timestamp and watch this bit again, because there's a lot of information there. All right, see you in the monthlies. And Pisces Sun, don't forget to watch your rising and your moon signs. And see you soon. Cheers.